bring in Florida Congressman Michael Waltz now. He serves on the House Armed Services Committee. He's a former Green Beret commander. Congressman, good to have you with us today. So let's start with China's role here and the fact that you hear Jake Sullivan say that there's no evidence yet of military support, but they have not condemned this, and they really stand with only a few other countries in that regard.
So broadly speaking, Martha, I expect China to try to play a double game here. I think you're going to hear a lot of the rhetoric that Chairman Xi believes that we want to hear in terms of not going all the way to calling it an invasion, but calling for talks, calling for a de-escalation. And perhaps I wouldn't even be surprised to hear of humanitarian aid coming from China to Ukraine. But meanwhile, they are absolutely driving that relationship with Russia forward, with China buying up Russian oil and gas, buying up critical minerals, even Russian coal, and extending that economic lifeline. The question is, do they provide military aid? And we'll have to watch that through our intelligence community and have to watch it very carefully.
So Dmitry Peskov, the Kremlin spokesman, wants to make his feelings very clear, and no doubt Putin's feelings very clear, about what their response would be if NATO were to send in peacekeeping forces into Ukraine, which we've seen in Mariupol and other places they could desperately need. Watch this.
It would be a very reckless and extremely dangerous decision. We are conducting a special military operation, and any possible contact of our forces with NATO's could lead to consequences that would be hard to correct.
So what do you think? Do you agree with that?
Well, you know, and the spokesman also put nuclear weapons and nuclear weapons use on the table. And Martha, that is part of Russian doctrine. They believe they can get away with the use of a tactical small yield nuclear weapon on the premise that we won't respond with our nuclear weapons to start World War III, and therefore they can get away with it. And one of the things I hope to hear from Biden and NATO at the summit are very clear red lines on the use of WMD, not providing the Ukrainians gas masks to be able to deal with it, clear red lines to Putin. All options are on the table, including NATO involvement, if they use chemical weapons or weapons of mass destruction. We have to start deterring him, Martha. Nobody wants World War III, but Putin doesn't either. He knows he would lose, and we have to start driving the conversation. Jack Keane was absolutely right in that.
And Congressman, there's more than one way to push back. And, you know, the president of Greece has offered to go in with and escort a humanitarian convoy into Mariupol, which is obviously a very courageous move on his part. What do you really think that if NATO allowed peacekeeping missions to come in and say there are people starving in these cities, they're drinking water out of sewers, the world cannot stand by and allow this to happen? Do you really think that he would bomb peacekeeping forces from NATO? Would he go that far?
He potentially could, or he could get his surrogates to do so, either the mercenary groups like Wagner or the separatist groups in Ukraine. But I wouldn't put it past them. Another option would also be to do a humanitarian corridor by sea through the Black Sea. And again, it's on the premise that Putin wouldn't dare start sinking ships filled with humanitarian supplies. That's a bet. On the one hand, I think we have to make the consequences much more clear to him. Instead of reaction mode, get into proactive mode and make him react to us.
Okay, very quickly, Putin plans to attend the G20. He's a pariah on the international stage, but China's backing him up on that. It's later this year. Quick thought on that, Congressman, if you can.
Well, I think we just need to make him irrelevant. If China is going to block actually expelling them, then we just absolutely make the Russian economy irrelevant. However, as long as China is providing that lifeline, that's going to be difficult to do. What I think we need to put on the table are secondary sanctions on those Chinese firms that are providing. At the end of the day, what China wants the most is access to European markets and access to U.S. dollars and capital. That's the leverage we have, and we need to start using it.
Well, we're going to hear more about that coming up. Thank you very much, Congressman.